Welcome to this Football Manager 2020 experiment where we're going to take a look to see how a non-league club in England would perform with perfect facilities and perfect staff members. Chelmsford City, a club in the Vanarama National League South, a team that has underperformed in recent years. They've been close to getting promoted to the Vanarama National League, as you can see, on quite a few occasions, reaching the playoffs and always bottling it. Chelmsford's a vibrant new city, England's newest city, only half an hour from London. So it's got a lot going for it. I was born and bred there, so I'm a bit biased. I do love it. I don't live there anymore, but it's obviously still holds a special place in my heart. So what we're going to do to Chelmsford City is we're going to try and improve them as much as possible, but without improving the finances. There's been loads of experiments done where you give a non-league team £1 billion, for example. But what about a club that has perfect facilities and perfect staff members? So what we have done is I've improved the training and youth facilities. I'll just show you on the in-game editor. Here we go. So 20 on training facilities, 20 on youth facilities, 20 on junior coaching, 20 on youth recruitment, and 20 on corporate facilities. I have upgraded the stadium. Chelmsford City play at an athletic stadium in the Melbourne estate. It's called the Melbourne Community Stadium or something like that. Melbourne Athletic Stadium is what we always used to call it. But it's been demolished and replaced with Marconi Stadium. Marconi was an Italian that moved to England, moved to Chelmsford, invented the radio and set up the first ever radio factory in Chelmsford. That's what Chelmsford's famous for. So we've called it the Marconi Stadium. It's got a capacity of 12,500 people, which I think is what you need in the Premier League. So I thought, let's give them basically, it's not a perfect stadium, but a good stadium, a very good stadium for lower league for certain, and also a stadium that they can play in the Premier League if they get there. The stadium condition is set to 1, which is the best, basically. Or maybe 0 is the best. Either way, the lower the rating, the better condition the stadium is in. So it's pristine. It's got an expansion capacity of 200,000, which would be quite funny if they ever managed to expand it to that level. So that's the facilities side of things. Finances, I haven't touched it. So that this is what the game has given Chelmsford City, a bank balance of 132,000, which is a lot for this level, to be honest. It might be based on the fact that they've got a bigger stadium now. I don't know. I've not touched this anyway. I've left them as a semi-professional club. I was toying with the idea of making them professional straight away, but we don't want to bankrupt them by them spending too much money on wages. So they'll automatically become professional if they get promoted to the Football League, of course. And that's the wage budget. I've not touched that either. I've not touched the reputation. If we fiddle with that will just mess with things far too much. We've left the reputation the same. Club attendance, I have touched on this. So I've said the minimum club attendance they will get is 2,500, and their sort of average this season will be about 5,000. That will go up as they progress as a club, I think. So the other thing I've done is create some perfect staff members. So Mr. Perfect is back. Those of you that watched my perfect experiments that I've done recently will remember this chap. And he is in charge of the club. He's the owner of the club, but I've not done anything to the financial side of things. I've literally just named the owner Mr. Perfect. We've then got the manager, Mr. Perfect, of course. He's got 20 on everything, apart from level of discipline. I'm never really sure if you want like 20 on level of discipline. Sometimes it's nice to be a little bit lenient with the players. So I've left it at 10. But it doesn't really matter because the main attributes for a manager, of course, are the ones that are highlighted here, as you can see. So he's got 20 on all of those. Very young, only 19 years old, so there's a lot of potential to be here for a long, long time. I've not done anything with the contract. That's just automatic. I think I've set it to the furthest it can be, 5-year contract, but I've not done anything with the wages. We've then got a director of football, Mr. Perfect Director. So he's the same, basically. He does have 20 on level of discipline. I've messed with a few of the attributes. For example, the Mr. Perfect Assistant does have 20 on level of discipline. So if Mr. Perfect Manager wants to be a bit strict, he'll just turn to his assistant and tell him to give them a rollicking. Then, of course, we've got all these other ones, so I don't need to show everyone, but as you can imagine, they've all got 20 on the attributes they need to have 20 on. So we've got all these staff members. I haven't done anything with the youth teams. I could have done, I suppose, to make it even better, but we'll allow the Mr. Perfect Director and Mr. Perfect to sign some youth team coaches. But, of course, we have increased the ability for Chelmsford City to find and recruit and train youth players in particular. So you've got 20 and everything. These will be expensive, but that is a good reason to have a big stadium. They'll be hopefully be able to pay for these expensive top of the range facilities by having a bigger attendance than they do in real life. This is the current squad then that Chelmsford City possess. I think it's predicted that they will finish first. No, it's second actually. I think they're really predicted to finish around about here. So they're a decent National League South team, underperforming in real life this year, but in recent years they have, as I said, they've bottled it. They've been close to getting promoted. They finished 4th, 3rd and 4th, getting into the playoffs in the last 3 seasons, and just miserably flopping in the semi-finals, I think. But the key player, according to the game, is Michael Spillane, something like that. Hot prospect is Andy Fennell. Let's just have a quick look at his potential. What am I doing? Here we go. 100 potential. Not bad for this level, to be honest. Oh, I wasn't looking at the key player, sorry. The key player is Chris Whelpdale. A striker. He's actually pretty good at this level. Let's have a quick look. 80 current ability. He's 32 years old. And the captain, Anthony Church, central midfielder. So they've got some sort of experienced players in their team. Anyway, what I'm going to do in this video is we're going to holiday a few seasons and keep an eye on Chelmsford City, see what happens to them. Will they be able to get promoted into the Football League? They obviously need to get promoted twice. Will Mr. Perfect stay? If he gets sacked, we'll probably just move him back to Chelmsford City, because why not? Let's do that. Anyway, let's go. Excellent news. Chelmsford City have been promoted to the Vanarama National League. 93 points, a long way ahead of second place. Good goal difference as well. Only 5 defeats all season. Mr. Perfect and his staff have obviously had a positive impact on this squad. I'm sure they have. We'll have a look at the transfers in a second. But as you can see, overall, really good season. Only 5 defeats. They got to the first round proper of the FA Cup. Unfortunately, they did lose against Colchester United. Where is it? Here it is. So Essex rivals Colchester beat them, and then they got to the second round of the FA Trophy, losing against Aldershot. But yeah, the league was excellent for them. This is the current squad. So the top goal scorer was Andy Fennell, the youngster, with 17 goals in all competitions. I think he's the top goal scorer. Yep, Whelpdale got 14. Most assists was Ches Isaac. Don't know if he's a new signing, possibly. Highest average rating, player on loan from AFC Wimbledon, 7.48. He's young as well, really good player by the looks of it. So they made a lot of transfers actually, all 3 transfers, and they allowed quite a few players to leave as well. Just want to have a look at the attendance actually. What sort of attendances were they getting? First home game of the season against rivals Billericay Town just down the road, 7,631. That's good. But then against Eastbourne, just under 5,000. So it depends who they're playing really. It's between 4,000 and 5,000 most of the time by the looks of it. But against the rivals, they're able to attract a bigger crowd. Maybe Colchester United, were they at home? They were away. But oh wow, they're getting almost the same attendance as Colchester United. But I suppose Colchester are playing a team lower down, I guess. So the tactics that he's deploying is a 4-2-3-1 wide. I think that's what Mr. Perfect has as his preferred formation. I think this is just a classic formation to use. It's a safe option to use, I think. Let's have a quick look at the facilities, just to make sure they haven't downgraded in the last year. Youth facilities has gone down by 1 already. So they will have to spend money to keep them at the top, and they won't be able to spend money for a while. So eventually these things will decline unless they continue to spend money. I forgot to say, I've given the new stadium undersoil heating and a roof as well. So they've got everything, all the bells and whistles. And I presume all of the staff members are still here. They have signed some other staff members for the youth teams, not particularly good ones. Maybe I could upgrade them. But I think we'll just leave it for the time being. They've got perfect staff for the rest of the squad, so I think that'll do, I'm sure. So the first season in the Vanarama National League has been pretty successful. 6th place for Chelmsford City, 22 wins, 11 draws, 13 defeats, 77 points. They reached the playoffs, evidently. In the first round, they were defeated by Notts County, though, unfortunately. But that is a really good, solid first season for Chelmsford City. They had a player that managed to get the second highest number of Man of the Match awards, goalkeeper in fact, so on loan from Southend. Essex, a friendly Essex rival, I would say. In fact, who are their rivals on the game? Fierce rivals Braintree Town, then we've got Billericay and Concord, so Southend and Colchester aren't even mentioned on here. So Mr. Perfect still in charge. I did do a perfect manager experiment where I just put a perfect manager at a non-league club, didn't change anything else, and we had varying success. It wasn't particularly successful, to be honest. He did manage to get promoted a couple times, but it was tricky for him, and he did get sacked quite a lot. But Mr. Perfect has survived. He should survive. I mean, he's finished 6th in the Vanarama National League at the first attempt, so that's not bad going at all. I wonder what their finances are like now. Really strong. 3.3 million. I'm guessing that is because of the stadium. So although we haven't directly given them tons of money, we have indirectly given them money by giving them a good stadium, of course. And they are a professional club. They didn't have to go professional, but they've decided to go professional in the Vanarama National League, which will really help them in trying to get promoted, of course. But they were unsuccessful this time round. Despite having money, they haven't actually spent anything, which probably is sensible at this stage. Let's have a quick look at the key players. So the key player now is Keith Asser, on loan from Nottingham Forest. He's obviously not going to be around next year. The captain has changed, Lewis Kinsella. So they've really changed the squad quite a lot. This is the vice captain, Akinola, who was recently signed from Barnet. And the hot prospect coming through, Cameron Aid. So this is where things get interesting. We've given them amazing youth recruitment. Wow. Potential ability 153. That is real quality Premier League standard. If we can reach that, they have produced a really good player already, which is fascinating. If we look at the under-18s, just the under-18 squads. Where am I going? I'm clicking all over the place. Here we go. So they've not had many players come through the under-18s, to be fair. This one's from Belarus. So this is what we've done. We've increased the recruitment range as well. So he's got 138 potential. Chelmsford City are going to be able to sell these players for quite a bit of money in theory. 131. So they've not produced loads of players, but they have produced some good players. This one's only got 91, so not great. They're not terrible. And an Armenian goalkeeper as well. He's got 111 potential. So that's really interesting. I imagine there's some in the under 23s. These are probably the better ones, to be fair. Charlie Dunn, although he was signed from Dartford, so he's not come through the academy. This is going to be fascinating. It might be quite a long video. I'm probably going to do 2 or 3 parts to this, depending on how things go. Of course, if he gets sacked, then things will change quickly, I'm sure. Graham Dodds, 6 goals. He's come through the academy. And he's got only 48 potential, but he's in the under-23s, whereas there's better players in the under-18s. That's weird. This is the senior squad then. So this season, top goal scorer was Andy Fennell again. He really is a good player, isn't he? At this level. And on loan, Flynn Clark from Peterborough. Most assists was Jack Munns, who they signed from Dover. An average rating, Andy Fennell again. So it's been a good season. They've still got all the staff members here, as you can see. Attendance-wise, first home game of the season, 6,767. That's good. Harrogate, almost 6,000. Over 7,000 for Sutton. That's not bad going at all. FA Cup, crashed out in the first round again. 10,000 people turned up for that, though. So that brings in the money, doesn't it? That's for sure. FA Trophy, they got through to the semi-final. Not bad. They lost against Chorley in the end, unfortunately, but that's not bad. Really bad end to the season. So they must have been flying high and then just flopped. I wonder what happened there. Morale just dipped, maybe. Let's just have a quick look to see what happened. Yeah, wow. They were first. They were close to getting promoted and they bottled it first in a classic Chelmsford City way for the last 8 games. What happened? They were top for most of the season. That's really unfortunate. And I bet they're kicking themselves for letting that go, because that was pretty close for them to getting promoted for a second season in a row. So the second season in the Vanarama National League was also pretty successful, and they managed to reach 77 points for the second season in a row, but 2 places higher. But yeah, unfortunately, they couldn't get promoted. But it's the other way round this year. They had a terrible start to the season, so continuing their form from last season, but they dramatically improved, and they actually finished in 4th. That was the first time they reached that position all season. So not bad going at all, considering the start to the season. In the playoffs, They did get through the first round, beating Ebbsfleet. In the semi-final, unfortunately, they lost against AFC Fylde, though. So it wasn't to be for them once again. So Mr. Perfect still in charge. He survived that really terrible early form to the season. They've gone up to 1.5-star regional reputation. They started at national reputation, you will have noticed, so that's good. In terms of transfers, they have spent money, but they've sold players. That's the thing. They've sold Maxim Antelevsky, the Belarusian midfielder, who's already got 2 caps of Belarus, by the way, at the age of 16, so he's gone. 2 players going to Huddersfield, in fact. Cameron Aid as well. Was he the really good one? Can't remember. I'm clicking on the wrong button again. Yes, he's the really good one. Oh, what a bargain for Huddersfield. But that's what happens at this level. If a non-league club produces someone like him, they've got no chance of hanging on to him, and the money that they make is poor. It could rise to 165k. So that's good for the club. Big transfer coming in. Mauro Vilhet, Portuguese player from Barnet, versatile. And also another player from Barnet, Che Alexander, a right back. So that's the current team, and they've really been through a number of players now, haven't they? Loads of players coming and going. Andy Fennell, top goal scorer again, by the way, he's still here. I wonder if he's born in Chelmsford. Not sure it says actually. I probably don't know, to be honest, but Chelmsford's his favourite team as a player. Let's say he was born in Chelmsford. It says unknown, in fact. If anyone knows Andy Fennell, then let me know. Reece York, also doing well this season. Warwick Caetano, a Brazilian, in attacking midfield, got the most assists. They've got wow, he looks good. I mean, he's a proper Brazilian. He's got technique. He's got determination, flair. Yeah, he's a technical player, isn't he? Best average rating though this season. Can't really count Jake Bennett because he didn't play that many games. It's Che Alexander, the right back. Good stuff. They've still got all the staff members. This is the season then overall. So let's have a look at that terrible start. They did win the second game, but yeah, it's not a great start to the season. They started to improve around about here. Attendance-wise, similar to last year by the looks of it. Maybe slightly less, actually, strangely. Might be because of the bad start to the season, I don't know. FA Cup, they got through to the second round. They beat Chorley. And then in the second round against Forest Green, 12,000 people turned up. And they beat Forest Green and went through to the third round to take on Brighton, a Premier League team, away from home. They'd have got a ton of money for that. Shame it wasn't on TV. So yeah, really good season in the FA Cup, reaching the third round. That is remarkable. And then, of course, really good end to the season, but it wasn't to be in the end. Just have a quick look at the facilities. Training and youth facilities are now both down to 19. I think we'll eventually improve them again if we get to a point in this video where we think Chelmsford City have stagnated and we want to just give them a bit more of a boost again. But we'll leave it for the time being. They've done it! Third time lucky in the Vanarama National League. Promoted as champions with 107 points. Only 5 defeats all season. A plus 61 goal difference, scoring 90 goals in the process. Excellent, excellent stuff from Chelmsford City. They're the top goal scorer, Will Russ, a Welshman, signed from Leicester. Also second highest average rating. Most assists was the Brazilian again, Warwick Caetano. Could become a bit of a cult hero for Chelmsford City. And the most clean sheets as well for Alfie Whiteman, signed from Crawley Town. So really excellent stuff for Chelmsford. Mr. Perfect, of course, is still in charge with all of his staff members, as you can see there. Key player was Will Russ. Captain, I think that's changed again. Sean McGinty is captain. Vice captain is still the Nigerian chap. And the hot prospect has changed again. So Matt Mills now. We didn't have a look at the hot prospects last season, did we? This guy, 158. I mean, wow. This is great. I love it. We've really given them a massive boost. And they'll probably sell him, but every little helps with the money, doesn't it? Of course, they've got a decent stadium, so they are bringing in the money. They've got 2.7 million, so it has gone down a little bit. But the transfer budget, they're not going to spend 2 million, I don't think. Wage budget's certainly gone up. They spent 135,000, but once again, they sold a player, Kyle McQueen, a Scottish player who's come through the academy, and he's gone to Nottingham Forest, 124 current ability. So he's not even the best player they've produced, but they've sold him for a decent amount of money, to be honest. Dama Williams is also Jamaican, is gone. I'm stumbling over my words here. Dama Williams has also gone, and he's gone to Portsmouth. Let's have a look at him. So he's got 126 potential. And then this chap, Theophilus Alozi, has gone to Fleetwood. and he's got 121 potential, so not bad. Coming into the team this season, top transfer was Calder Silva, a Welshman. Jordan Thomas came in from Norwich. Aldershot, sorry. No, Norwich. He did come from Norwich. He was on loan at Aldershot last season. Decent season for him here. And Will Russ, the top goal scorer, came from Leicester City for 18.25k. A bargain, as he was top goal scorer, of course. Excellent stuff for Chelmsford City. They're still playing the 4-2-3-1. That's Mr. Perfect's style of play. Just have a quick look at the statistics. Top goal scorer, Will Russ, of course. Lee Ball as well, up there. Has he come through the academy? No, he's come from Bolton. Assist-wise, Caetano, of course, top. Chambers Shaw, has he come through the academy? No. Oh, he has come through the academy. Let's have a look at him then. 112 potential, so he's not quite enticing enough for other teams to sign him yet. And the top average rating, once again, Che Alexander having a really good season at right back for them. Still 1.5 star potential, but that probably will go up now that they've been promoted, I would say. Facilities wise, still 20 or 19 for everything. So let's have a look to see how they get it on in their first season in the Football League. Wow! At the first attempt, Chelmsford City have been promoted to League One as champions of League Two. They lost plenty of games, but they did enough to finish top with 87 points. What a performance! What a performance! Let's have a look at the stats. Will Russ, top goal scorer again. Banging in the goals at this level. He's pacey, isn't he? Those physicals are very impressive, actually, for this level. Not the most technically gifted player, but it's certainly working. Will Ferry, most assists for them this season. Left winger, looks good. So yeah, really good season for Chelmsford's. Mr. Perfect, of course, still in charge. If he wasn't, then we'd move him back. This is the current staff members, so they've still got everyone. Still playing the 4-2-3-1. Transfer-wise, spent 200k and sold 850k worth of players. Christian Chambers Shaw has left. He's gone to Coventry. Matt Mills, he was the really good one, wasn't he? He's gone to Burnley. See, it seems to be that the really good ones don't go for as high a fee, which seems a bit strange. What a name. Dlanglala. I don't know how to say that. I'll call him Alfred, but he's gone to York. I love that name. That's fantastic. Ed Solken has gone as well. So all these players, they're producing so many and they're making money. You know, it'd be nice if they could keep some of these guys. 141 potential. Would be nice if they could keep them. But at this stage, it's realistic that they're going to have to sell these players. Potential 144 for this one. But eventually, when they get maybe slightly higher up, they'll be able to hang on to these players. Will Ferry was the top signing this season, by the way, from Southampton. Mark McGuinness also coming in for a fee. He's been capped at Northern Ireland international level, believe it or not. So the top goal scorer was Will Russ, of course. Lee Ball also banging in the goals. Assist-wise, Will Ferry. Andy Stockbridge as well. Has he come through the academy? Let's have a look. 190 uninting potential. Yes, he did come through the academy. Looks good. They've got some good players at this level. You can see why they've managed to win the league at the first attempt. Will Ferry, top average rating. Excellent stuff. Oh, I'm pleased for them. They're up to 2-star regional reputation. This is working well. This is what I wanted to happen, and it is happening. I don't know how much of an impact the money side of things Marconi Stadium's having. I mean, they're not spending tons of money, though, are they? I think they're spending sensible amounts. They're actually spending less than they're selling. So it really is. I think it's basically because of the youth academy. They're producing great players who can go into the first team and perform. They're being sold. They're then able to sign some more experienced players that will suit this level slightly better. And then they're able to get promoted. That seems to be what is happening. I love it. If you love it, remember to hit that like button. It'd be much appreciated. And they've done it again. Chelmsford City are on a roll. Champions of League One, 88 points. Really, really good stuff. I mean, Mr. Perfect is a sensational manager. No surprises there because of his attributes. It's working wonderfully. Now, interestingly, a lot of the contracts were up end of last season, end of the League Two season, and a lot of these guys left. So most of League One, well, all of their season in League One, they didn't have a few of the lesser staff members, like some of the coaches, the scouts, etc. Mr. Perfect was given a new contract. I think the Mr. Perfect assistant was as well, the director. All the guys that have with one contract, 1 year left. I don't think all of them left actually, but I've moved them back. So I have moved them back to the club. Maybe Coach 2, did he leave? Yeah, he did. So he left, and then there was a year gap, and we've moved him back. So yeah, interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on that, make sure they stay at the club and give them longer contracts when necessary. Anyway, really, really good season once again. I forgot to look at the schedule last year, didn't I? I don't know how did they get on last year in the Cups? Because of course it was the first season in the Carabao Cup, wasn't it? And they lost in the second round against Derby, and of course they take part in the leasing.com trophy as well, whatever that thing's called, which I don't think they progressed past the group stage by the looks of it. This season, Carabao Cup, they won the first round, they won the second round against Millwall, really impressive. They won the third round against Plymouth, and in the fourth round they lost against Premier League Everton, away from home. But once again, they should be getting money for that, shouldn't they? And then the leasing.com trophy, second round, lost in the third round. But the league was really, really impressive once again for them. The attendances they're getting as well have improved. 10,000 for the opening day. 10,000. So yeah, about 10,000. They're not far off filling the stadium now in League One. And in the Championship, you'd imagine that they will fill it. They did fill it almost against Chesterfield, for example. Transfer-wise, they spent 190k. They sold £3.3 million worth of players. Jason Wilkinson sold, a youth academy player that came through last year with 134 potential. Now, they've got to the stage where they're higher up. They're able to command a bigger transfer. Even for players, they're actually worse than some of the players they've already sold. It's quite simply because they have moved up the divisions. They don't need to sell these players. They don't feel like they have to sell these players, and maybe Jason Wilkinson wouldn't mind staying at Chelmsford City for a year. But Brighton obviously put in a big bid, rising to almost 5 million. Just imagine how much they could have made on some of these players with 150 potential if they'd hung on to them until they got to this point. If they're absolute bargains for Huddersfield that first season or second season. This guy isn't a Regent. What am I looking at? He was just signed on a free, and they made a bit of profit selling him back to America. Not back to America, he's English. Selling him to Chicago in America. The most expensive signing, Dan Kemp, I know him, West Ham player. Moved to Rochdale on a free transfer, but now he's moved to Chelmsford City for 60k. Robbie Cundy as well, coming in. Jed Spence. So mainly experienced players. They're not bringing in young players. They're bringing in players in their prime, basically. And that's certainly helped them in getting promoted for a third season in a row. Really good stuff. Top goal scorer, strangely. I mean, it was shared around, wasn't it? They've got a few players getting quite a few goals. Brendan Ballantyne, I do like an alliterative name, on loan from Arsenal, scored 12. And Joe Atkinson on loan from Wolves also scored 12. Will Russ got to the point where maybe it's not quite his level, but he's improved as a player, that's for sure. He's improved finishing, I think. He's been capped by Wales as well, which is really impressive. Brendan Johnson, he's also been capped by Wales on loan from Nottingham Forest. Will Ferry, so the goals were certainly shared around this season, as you can see there. Average rating, top was Will Russ though, so maybe it is his level. He's good enough. He's getting good average ratings. He's scoring goals, and not bad at all, I would say. Let's just have a quick look at the finances and the facilities. So the club attendance, as you can see, has gone up. The facilities, 18 and 18 for training and youth. So they've dropped down, but coaching, recruitment and corporate facilities still 20. The stadium conditions still perfect, pretty much. And they've got some money, that's for sure. 2.4. The wage budget, transfer budget is bigger than the actual money that they have in the bank, and they're still 2-star reputation. So very, very impressive season. Let's see how they get on in the Championship. Will that be a step too far? I hope not. I'm afraid it was a step too far. Chelmsford City have been relegated bottom of the Championship, only winning 2 games all season, which was against Sheffield United and Peterborough, losing 31, minus 59 goal difference, only 19 points. Not a good season for Chelmsford City. First attempt at this level has not gone well. And I wonder why that is the case, because they progressed up so rapidly, and maybe that's the problem. Perhaps they progressed too fast. It was just too much of a step up for them. That's a possibility, but they adapted so well to the other divisions, but they just didn't adapt to the Championship. And actually, Mr. Perfect did leave the club in October. Fortunately, I holidayed to the day when he happened to leave. He wasn't sacked. He moved to Derby. He was in charge for 0 days. Literally on the day he moved, I moved him back to Chelmsford City. So he's still here, and he's still got his staff members, as you can see here. Although he's got rid of... we need to bring back Mr. Perfect Assistant, don't we? Billy Reid. He's not a bad assistant, to be fair, but we need to bring back Mr. Perfect Assistant to where he belongs. Few staff members have contracts running out, so I will edit them. We're going to end part 1 here. I think this is... I know it's a bit of a sad ending to finish on, a relegation, but hopefully they'll go back down and then come back straight away, because they should be strong enough for League One. So part 1 will end here. If you do want to watch part 2, then watch it when I upload it, basically. But let's just have a look at this season. So transfer-wise, they sold, once again, really good sales. This time to Bournemouth, £2.2 million for a player with 154 potential. That is really high, by the way, 154 potential. If we go to the Bournemouth team, no, the England team. Let's have a look at the England team. And have a look at, for example, John Stones. He has 165 current ability, so it's not that potential for the previous player that we looked at isn't that far behind in the grand scheme of things. Lewis Cook, I can't imagine he's particularly 160. So yeah, 153 is certainly, you know, a Premier League standard player. It's not quite good enough to get in the England team, I don't think, unless, well, I suppose there might be some players with lower than that. Let's just have a look at Tammy Abraham. 156. It's not dissimilar to him. Obviously, it depends on if he can reach that level, but it really is a bargain for Bournemouth. But it's a decent fee for Chelmsford City, I suppose. This chap has 149 potential. Coming into the team, they did sign £2.4 million worth of players, but it's not enough for the Championship these days. Rayhan Tulloch coming from Plymouth. Graham White, a regen coming from Accrington Stanley, another player coming from Plymouth. But it's just not the quality required for the Championship, unfortunately. Their top goal scorer, Will Russ, only 9 goals. He's just not good enough for the Championship, is he? That's the problem. Assists-wise, Andy Stockbridge, the player that's come through the academy, still here. Decent player. It's up to 113 current ability, but once again, probably not good enough for the Championship. Quite evidently not good enough, because obviously they've been relegated. Key player these days is Mike Cooper, who was signed from Plymouth, and the hot prospect is Declan Logan, a left back with 142 potential. So they're still producing good players, aren't they, at this stage? Mr. Perfect is an icon, by the way, despite leaving the club for a day and then returning the next day. They're up to still 2-star reputation. The tactics... Oh, he's gone for something different this season. I suppose to try and be defensive, he's gone for a 4-1-4-1, essentially. And it hasn't worked. Maybe he should have stuck with the old tactic. I don't know. I've just realised we've missed something. Chelmsford City won the FA Trophy in 2023. They beat FC Halifax at Wembley. That would have been a great day. Let's go back and have a look at that. How did I miss that? I'm not entirely sure. Look at this. Look at all the defeats. It's awful. They only won 2 games all season. They didn't even do anything in the cup competitions either, unfortunately. Crashed out after a replay of Leeds in the FA Cup. I'm just going to go back to that FA Trophy, which somehow I missed. 2-1 win. Will Russ with both goals. 36,000 people turned out. Not bad at all for an FA Trophy, I don't think. But yeah, this season, disappointing. Unfortunately, we've ended on a disappointing note, but hopefully part 2 will be positive. They'll be able to get promoted back to the Championship, and then hopefully get promoted to the top flight. That would be magnificent. They've got some money, obviously, for getting to the Championship. Got some Championship TV money. Facility's still the same. I think we might boost them back to 20 if it continues to go down, and if they don't get promoted next year, then we'll probably intervene. And of course, I need to remember to increase the contracts for all these guys and bring back Mr. Perfect Assistant as well. But we'll end it there. Thank you for watching today's experiment video. Until next time, enjoy FM20. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you very soon.